Welcome to another episode of I Speak African. I'm your host, Yanu. Today's episode will kind of be like a continuation of episode 13, where I spoke in length about the unaliving of Ntobeko at the hands of Subiso Lawrence. Now, this past Friday, another violent attack has transpired in KwaZulu-Natal by Malondi. Malondi unalived his girlfriend by the name of Bongeka Makhathini and their 3-year-old daughter. Now, the 3-year-old daughter's name was Okuhle. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm still learning how to pronounce certain words in certain ethnic groups in South Africa. So I spelled it out her name. He accused he accused Bongeka of cheating on him and that the child was not his. His family has also stated that he's been unemployed for the last 4 months, and during those 4 months of unemployment, his behavior has drastically changed. Now, I found it very important to revisit the topic of gender-based violence because the rate of gender-based violence in South Africa is the highest on the continent. But not only for that reason alone, but also because a lot of South Africans have become very hostile towards other Black people who speak on the topic of gender-based violence or other related topics, or just other topics, other South African topics. And that's wrong. You can't police how somebody speaks. This is, the world is more connected now than ever before. So if people have not only just opinion, but if somebody has an actual fact to say, or if they have evidence, you can't just tell them to be quiet because they're not South African. And even if they are South African, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, they're not indigenous to South Africa. They don't have to be indigenous to speak about issues that are happening in South Africa, because if those issues are happening to indigenous South Africans, they will also happen to other Africans who migrate or immigrate to South Africa. Now, I was on social media yesterday, and the whole topic of gender-based violence, and more specifically the unaliving of Bongeka, was a topic. And this Black African, I don't know what country he was from, but he made a very snide remark, which I did not agree with. And his remark was, I thought that it was only Nigerians and Zimbabweans that were the problem in South Africa. And the South African person responded and said, pretty much like told him to shut up and was like, mind your own business. This is a domestic issue. So I responded and I said, well, wasn't apartheid a domestic issue? And the person didn't respond, but I was like, wasn't apartheid a domestic issue? But all of Africa came together to help free the South African people. Also, as I mentioned in my previous episode, the Nigerian government and the citizens of Nigeria paid what was known as the Mandela tax to help free the Black South African people. So this attitude that other Black people cannot speak about South African issues, it's not a healthy attitude. Now, as I explained, it's not a healthy, nor is it right. I'll use the example of what's happening in Palestine as an issue. Now, we all know they're dying over there in Palestine, but the Palestinian people are humble enough to ask outsiders for help because they obviously need it. This is not an issue that they can solve by themselves, because if it were an issue they can solve by themselves, they would have solved it a long time ago. Most, but not all, South Africans are way too prideful, and they're not willing to ask outsiders for help. You need to ask outsiders for help in order to find a solution to this issue. And this is gender-based violence is an epidemic in South Africa. As a Black American, also somebody of Nigerian descent, I know a lot of the issues or problems that are plaguing the South African people because I do my own research and I actually care for the South African people. But your average Black person, / African person does not know, nor do they care. So reach out to them and give them a reason to care. Because if this was an issue that could easily be solved, it would have been solved already. Put pressure on the South African government, especially Ramaphosa, so that the other world leaders will actually care about this issue, so that people in other countries can speak to their representatives, their senators, their members of parliament, and tell them, hey, this is the big issue in South Africa. You need to put pressure on the president or the prime minister of our country, so that we can turn this into an international issue, and we can put pressure on Ramaphosa and the government of South Africa, so that Ramaphosa and the unity, whatever, the Ramaphosa government can now, now find a way to, end gender-based violence once and for all, or at least, make it so that it's not as, it's not so prevalent, it's, make it so that you don't see this happening at such a, large number. I also want to say that people should not condemn KZN or KwaZulu-Natal or even Zulu men and Zulu women for what's happening. And these are other South Africans. Like, I'm reading South Africans saying, like, KZN is cursed. What's wrong with the Zulu men? They don't know how to act right. But these issues are not a Zulu issue. It's a South African issue, because these things happen in Gauteng. They happen in the Free State. They happen in the Cape Provinces. They happen in Limpopo. So those are just a few provinces where they happen. It's not a KZN issue, Now, the solution is to raise boys properly. Make sure boys know at a very young age it's not okay to, like, hurt women. It's not okay, or girls. It's not okay to hurt girls and to abuse them, so that when they grow up and they become men, they respect those women, but more importantly, they respect themselves, because a self-respecting man is not going to beat up a woman or even unalive her. So that's something that people really need to focus on when it comes to raising young boys and young men in South Africa, but also the world in general. Now, I have seen some people say, like, when the Zulu boys come out of the circumcision ritual, that they now don't want to listen to anyone. They beat on girls, and they want to fight teachers and stuff. Yes, that's all more reason why you need to raise young boys the right way, so that when they go through the circumcision ritual, or whatever kind of transition to manhood, that they know how to behave, they know how to act right, they know how to show respect and concern. And I also want to say to other Black Africans, stop antagonizing the South African people during this time. This is not the right time to make stupid comments, or to, try to make them feel bad. This is not the right time. Like, you can do that when, the next cup of, African Cup of Nations comes on, and, whatever country you're coming from is beating South Africa, or if South Africa isn't doing good, like, in the rankings, make fun of them then. Or if you are West African and you want to compare Afrobeats to Amapiano, say that Afrobeats is much better than Amapiano, or whatever, or South African, West African, or East African women look better than, whatever the case may be. But right now is not the time to, be antagonizing them. Or you can even say pounded yam tastes better than pop, because I tasted both, and pounded yams is much better than pop. But like I said, right now is not the time to antagonize the South African people. As a people, we actually need to come together and solve this issue as a people, as an African people, as a Black people. We need to solve this issue, so that future generations don't suffer because the past generations did not do their job properly. But thank you for listening to another episode of I Speak African. Please like and subscribe to my channel so that I can put out more content. You can email me at ispeakafrican12@gmail.com, and please write in the comments, and I'll respond to your comments. Thank you for listening. Stay blessed.